Good evening, everybody. Wow. I'm Mike Tedesco. That's Roy Nemmer. That's Mr. Jerome Wilen down there. Okay. This is a wild night in professional wrestling yet again. Something that's becoming a real wild hallmark of the Nick Khan presidency in WWE. Mass releases all at once. Tons and tons of releases. 18 in total tonight. Let's go over them real quick. I mean, like these release, the names of the people released tonight are absolutely stunning. And if I was any good at this, I would have already had the link queued up in on the screen here. But I'm getting to it right this second. All right, 18 WWE releases tonight. Keith, Bearcat Lee, Nia Jax, Mia Yim, who is Keith Lee's fiance, so package deal there. Formerly Reckoning of Retribution, Karrion Kross, Eva Marie, Lindsay Dorado, Grand Metalik, B-Fab of Hit Row, who just got called up, Harry Smith, Davey Boy Smith's son, who hasn't even made his main roster return yet, Scarlett, who was packaged with Karrion Kross and they are dating in real life, Ember Moon, Frankie Monet, Jessie Camilla, Katrina Cortez, Jeet Rama, Oni Lorcan, Trey Baxter, Zeta Ramier. Okay, that last one's kind of that was underwhelming at the end of that. But whoa, like what is going on right now? We're here to discuss it. Most of us are just digesting this information right now. But let's talk about it. Jerome, Roy, sound off. Let's go.
Jerome, you want to go up first?
I guess I can. I mean, I was on my way home, and Mike messaged in our chat that we have, and Keith Lee gone and Nia Jax gone. I'm like, what? And there was rumors circulating earlier this morning about WWE possibly releasing talent after their third quarter financials, and it happened. I mean, Nia Jax, that's crazy. The Rock's cousin. Keith Lee, he was just repackaged to that Bearcat character. Frankie Monet, she was Ty Valkyrie in Impact Wrestling. I bet she's regretting coming to WWE. I know she's married to John Morrison. Karrion Kross, Scarlett, they were Impact Wrestling talent. They'll probably end up going back there. It's just crazy. And I glanced at the financials earlier, and it looks like another record profit quarter for WWE, and here they're releasing talent. It just makes no sense.
Yeah.
None of it.
Super, super tough night. Roy, what do you think, man?
Yeah, I'm still kind of taking this in, to be honest. Similar to Jerome, it was kind of, broken in the chat, and I read the name. Initially I just read Keith Lee, then I went on WrestleView. I saw the names. It makes no sense. Keith Lee was just being repackaged. Nia Jax it's Nia Jax. Has still been there forever. And then some of the other names, like Karrion Kross, was just brought up from NXT, and they tried pushing him. Eva Marie, all right, you got the tag team, Lindsay Dorado, Grand Metalik. It makes no sense, and there's a comment in the chat as well from Anthony Oberstar, writes, WWE's in serious trouble in terms of developmental here. And it's true, I have to agree, because they have no one. You took a lot of these guys from NXT, brought them up in the past year and a half, and you're just getting rid of them just like that. Keith Lee obviously was a failed experiment, I'll say, in WWE, not NXT, but on the main roster. And it just felt like they never knew what they were doing with him at all. It was a lot of stop and go with him, and then he was off TV for several months, came back, didn't do much, repackaged him, and it's wow. The Royal Rumble roster is going to look a little bit thin in about 2 months' time.
How about that? How about the women's roster? I mean, look, I don't think among the wrestling community online that Nia Jax was the most popular performer on the planet, but she was a name. She does have some lineage. She's the cousin of The Rock. They put a lot of time and effort into this character, and whether you like her or not, she's got a unique look. She's got a unique presence. And to just give that up, it's incredible. And somewhere out there, there's a lot of companies that are, getting the checkbook out and licking the tip of the pen, getting it all moist and ready to start cutting some checks.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, this is where that shocking news about Ring of Honor comes into play now, that they are going to be shutting down operations and they're only going to be utilizing people that are uncontracted. They are setting themselves up if they ever did like a pay-per-view, like for like WWE or somebody, just to like screw with them and just say, like, and just sign all those people away. And then it's like, oh, we have an exclusive deal. Like, how, I don't know how they can run, but that's one less landing spot for these people now. You look at guys like Braun Strowman, Bray Wyatt. I mean, Bray Wyatt's going to wind up somewhere. I think it's going to be AEW, but they're floating around. Like AEW is bloated as a roster. You look at the amount of talent that they have on that roster. I think everybody's quick to think, oh, Tony Khan's going to just get the checkbook out and start signing people, but he's got, they have to start thinking about how can we utilize the people that we currently have and not make us look like, a WWE, failed experiment landing zone. It's a really interesting, it's like I keep seeing all these tweets that these people are going to be fine and they're going to land on their feet. I mean, I can't imagine that like a talent like Ember Moon doesn't wind up in AEW. I can't imagine that Tony Khan could pass up on Nia Jax versus Nyla Rose. But, I mean, and Keith Lee, you can't leave a guy like that on the market. It looks like the Impact AEW deal is dried up. I would hate to see Keith Lee go to Impact Wrestling and never be seen again. It's almost like, like he was released from WWE and he'll never get signed again. It's like, it might as well not be anywhere than go to Impact. But geez, Andrew Elder saying that, New Japan Pro Wrestling might be a landing spot, especially once as they're going to start leaking back into the USA market again here. But
so how much money do you think?
I'm concerned for some of these people. I think that some of these people that were released might never work in a major company again.
My apologies, Mike. I was cutting you off. I thought you were done talking. So what about Billy Corgan? I mean, how big's his checkbook? Any of these talent going to end up in the NWA?
Like NWA, I mean, I can see Roy shaking his head already. They are like, like I'm just gonna say before Roy sounds off, they're a complete non-entity in my book. Like they've moved to that like weird TNA, early days like pay-per-view model where it's like, sorry, there are so many options out there. They had a great thing going with NWA Power on. I had to stretch out the R at the end on YouTube. And then and I remember like Dave Lagana before he got, nailed with all that bad stuff, like tweeting out like, it's amazing that, no matter what, NWA Power will always be on YouTube. And, no matter what happens, this hot period of wrestling will always be able to be relived. And now they're all gone. They're on some paid platform. Sorry, there's just too many options. I'm not paying for NWA. Yeah,
NWA's on Fight for $4.99 a month, and it's just silly. What about Major League Wrestling? I don't know. I wonder if Court Bauer is going to try to grab some of these talent.
But what's their reach? Like intermittently, I'll get like emails from people saying like, oh, like I wish you guys covered like MLW and New Japan and all. It's like number one, like who has the time on this staff to like really cover all of that stuff? But number two, we could take all that time and do it. The bottom line is the interest and the knowledge of them isn't there.
Yeah.
It's almost like you get signed by these companies and it's like Bobby Heenan. You work with me, you go to the top. You don't work with me, you're never heard from again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does MLW even still have a TV deal? I know they were on beIN Sports in North America.
Yeah, they're on beIN Sports, and they're also on Vice.
Yeah,
Oh,
two
Ultimate
subscription
that's
paid
me.
companies, channels.
Take care. Thank you for your time. Thank you. That would be me. I review Raw. Sorry.
Yeah,
I mean, if you like Raw, I can't. I don't even know. I don't even
see.
know.
I'll say this though. I recapped Raw this past Monday. Mike, obviously, you had some stuff
Maybe
going on.
maybe you pissed him off.
It was a good show.
I even said that Raw was good the last couple of weeks. I've been putting over. My last show was about how damn good that relaunch was of the show. Oh, you're talking. Oh, give me a break. Get lost. See ya.
It was a good show. I'll be honest. It was a very good show, and I was actually excited. I'm like, all right, SmackDown's doing well. Raw's been good for like 2-3 weeks. But yeah, obviously, if you look at it in the past 2, 3, 5 years, it's been kind of
it's been a miserable show to watch.
It cures insomnia pretty much.
So I have a question for both of you. So Mike recaps Raw, Roy does SmackDown. So now with these releases, do you think they might have a draft or a switch or a trade?
You can't.
I know, but the rosters are thin.
Look, Raw. I mean, okay, so in the article we put down that WWE cut 13 people just in 2021 alone, not including like standalone releases, but like actual because there's like Bray Wyatt that was just released randomly, Braun Strowman was released randomly. I mean, Braun Strowman was part of a package, but they've been releasing like people like in small numbers too. But for the most part, the Nick Khan era has been marked by mass releases. We just had 13 people cut on August 6th, 14 on June 25th, 6 on June 2nd, 8 on May 19th, and 10 on April 15th. And there was a ton last year, too.
That's 51 right there. 51
that's crazy. And then just yesterday, their senior vice president of creative and directive in the office left after 15 years. So it's like
no one's safe.
No one's safe. It's crazy.
And as a viewer, it's tough to swallow. Like when you're watching this show and you're starting to get into people, or there are people that have been pushed for a while. Maybe you've even bought a ticket specifically to see that person, and they're gone. And who's there to replace them? Like the reason why I brought up those numbers before, Jerome, is you asked, are they going to do a draft? Well, Raw was decimated at the main event level by those releases in April and May. Bray Wyatt, I mean, like him or hate him, love him or hate him, was a major star. The Fiend was a character. I think they're still releasing Fiend merchandise right now. They had so much backed up. Braun Strowman was in the main event in the May pay-per-view and was gone part of the releases in June. And they never had anybody come up to replace them. They just moved a whole bunch of people over to Raw in this draft to freshen up that main event scene. But for months, it was basically Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre or bust. It's like they have AJ Styles in a pointless tag team, wasting him. Yeah. Like we need main eventers. Sorry, Omos, you got to be a bodyguard for a little bit. You don't get we're not going to play tag team right now and wait for you to learn on the job. We need AJ in the main event. They didn't do that. I don't know what the heck is going to happen here. I mean, look, these aren't main event players. Keith Lee, Karrion Kross, but they had the potential. That's a major part of the Raw mid card gone. Roy, you're going to say something. I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries. I was going to say, not just Raw. I mean, if you think of NXT as well, Adam Cole, Keith Lee, Karrion Kross, 3 of the biggest names that they had there for a long, long time, all gone in a year. You look at, Raw right now, you want to mention the main event. It's Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, Big E. I don't know how much faith they actually have in Big E, but, we'll go with that.
They're putting him in
Edge, Randy. No, not even in the commercial. He's never that front and center guy in the posters, right? Drew McIntyre's on SmackDown.
Not yet.
Edge is out for, whatever. Edge is out. Randy Orton, just like AJ Styles, is in a tag team. Granted, probably Orton's doing a little bit better than AJ with Riddle. You use the word decimated. I think that's the perfect word to describe what Raw is right now in terms of talent. I know they just had the draft. I know they got a lot of guys from SmackDown, Edge, Seth, Big E, everyone, but it's thin. It's so thin. The storylines are going to get very, very repetitive fast. That women's division is on, I'll say thin ice. It's that. I mean, the only thing keeping them kind of afloat is probably Charlotte Flair. Asuka hasn't been on television in so long. The women's tag titles are a joke. You have Rhea Ripley coming off of NXT looking like an absolute star, and then it's the complete opposite when she's on Raw, when she's on the main roster. And everyone's taking a hit. Everyone's taking a hit. You have someone like, B-Fab from Hit Row, who we were just kind of talking about quickly before we went on the air. And you have her as, the mic, that group on SmackDown is solid. And you have her, the female lead, everything. And she's gone for absolutely no reason. She could shine very easily in AEW. Very, very easily, because she has the athleticism, she has the charisma, everything. And you need that, and you know that your women's division needs it. Someone like, for example, Nia Jax, you could have easily done the bloodline. If you don't want to use Naomi, use her. Put her with Roman and the Usos. Right. You could do a bunch of stuff. And for them, it was just, forget it. We're not going to do any of that.
I know. It's incredible. I mean, because they're, Mr. Oberstar said it earlier tonight. Goosey said it, like in terms of developmental, like they it's like there's a lot of names that were signed that haven't even had a chance to prove themselves yet, or that were on the track of, of getting, of making something of themselves. And now they're not even going to get to see their potential even realized. It's incredible. And then they go out and, post these record profits, like they're doing great. They're back touring, they were putting over today in their media scrum how, much money touring is bringing back for them, and how, it's letting us be creative again. It's like, yeah, still waiting. But, and then they turn around and do this. Now, like I did see an interesting graph that was sent to me by Sandro, that their direct to consumer profits in terms of hundreds of millions of dollars. I'm going to see if I can get this up on the screen for you real quick, because this might help to explain what's going on here a little bit. And we're going to play economist for a second here, but it all comes down to dollars and cents. I mean, Vince has always been, cold-blooded about wanting his money. And before, he only knew one way to make major money. And that was to, sign a bunch of names and try to build like the biggest show that he possibly could. Now he's got this guy, Nick Khan, saying, you don't even need to have a good product. We don't need to have any stars. We don't need anybody. We just need our TV deals, our core content rights. And you can see, the business to business, deals the company is making with other companies, sponsorships, media advertising, network, WWE network licensing fees, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia events that are just built in, that's just found money, core content right fees. They were talking today, about, the content rights for Hulu are coming up at the end of 2022, and they're expecting there to be a big fight for who gets the next day, Raw content. And, and pretty soon the television rights deals are coming up. And, it's, again, the product as a pure wrestling fan, like that's why, like, I just cannot believe that this guy's even trying to defend anything that's going on in Raw. And that's fine. Every different strokes for different folks. Totally fine. You can enjoy Raw. Good for you. I don't happen to enjoy watching it most nights, because I'm watching it and I'm like, like you're seeing a million mistakes being made, and what they have to do to fix it, and they don't do it. They just keep making the same mistakes over and over again. But they don't care, because live television, destination television, is a dying medium, and WWE provides destination television for people. You kind of have to watch it live. Otherwise, you go online, you get hit with a million spoilers, and it's like, then it's like, oh, I missed it. I didn't get to see it. I didn't get to get that feeling when somebody came back or a big moment happened or a title switch. That's what, still draws people to it. Like if the NFL could have a 52-week season, they would air it and they would get hundreds of millions of views. As such, WWE is the only brand in town that runs 52 weeks a year and does live programming. They don't make hundreds of millions of viewers, but they make millions of viewers in an otherwise dead Friday night time slot and an otherwise dead USA Network 8 o'clock on a Monday. USA Network hasn't had a good show since like Monk. That was a long time ago. So, yeah, I mean, like the proof is in the pudding right here. Like we could have big contracts, or we could have big television deals, and who cares? Like let's just make as much money as possible.
It's a niche. It's
Roy, tell me.
Yeah. No, at the end of the day, it's all about the dollar. It's literally all that. It's a niche market. Wrestling as a whole, generally speaking, is a very, very niche market. And with Peacock and with all the different sponsors and everything you mentioned, yeah, it's all they care about is the money. If they get the money, they don't care what kind of product they put out. You mentioned they're probably still selling new Fiend merchandise that just came out. Well, there's a reason for it. It's the money. They don't care what's going on. They don't care that this guy hasn't been on television in 4 months or whatever it is. It's the money. It's there. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens when the deal with Fox and the USA Network are up. I think that's going to be the big indication. If they're even going to resign, or if they're just going to do it exclusively on Peacock or Hulu or whatever it is, just doing it live. There's still some time to go. You look at it. Andrew mentioned, he said ticket sales for Memphis on Raw are bad, and they have only opened up to 5,000 at the most in an arena that can seat 14 to 18,000. That's nothing. 5,000, you get that at house shows, at live events.
Right. And you can see that graph right there, direct to consumer. Like that's not where the money is anymore. They, in their mind, they might as well have just stayed in the Thunderdome and just leased out a place, bring people in a video screen. You can control everything about it, put out the product that they want to put out, and say and say screw it, say la vie. This is the new wrestling. This is the new order of wrestling, and like it or leave it. But we're making money hand over fist. Stephanie McMahon on the conference call today said that there's no reason why WWE can't be making $300 to $500 million a year in advertising alone, and advertising rights.
But how long can they sustain that for? Because right now,
that's what I keep asking.
Like, okay, the money's coming in now, but in 5 years from now, 8 years from now, whatever it is, maybe even less than that, 3 years from now, when your viewers are becoming less and you're not selling as much tickets, no one's going to buy your contracts. No one's going to get your whatever, your product and everything. So yeah, you're making that now, but in a couple of years, that's going to dry up very quickly.
100%. Like that, and that's what I've been shouting on the post Raw show with my darling wife Victoria. I've been saying, it's not this TV deal. It might not even be the next one, but could be the one after that. And they're going to have to get creative. Oh, we're going to do our own streaming platform. Oh, we're just going to be a strictly streaming company. I don't know, Jerome, what do you think?
I have felt that after the USA Network deal's up, that they're probably going to throw Raw on Peacock just to get more subscribers. That's just my feeling. But I think Fox will want to renew because they're hitting over 2 million viewers a week on Fox, and that's good for Friday night television. And so I think Fox is probably going to want to renew the deal, but I just can't see USA. I think the USA execs they're upset because 1.6 million, 1.5 million, 1.4 million. And it's, those are the numbers that, that Raw's getting. And they're used to, the 3.5, 4.5, from way back in the day, and they're just not getting it. And I don't think they're going to get it. I think as long as WWE continues on this creative path that they're on, that's a downward spiral, they're going to still have low record numbers for viewers on the USA Network. And 3 hours is way too long. That's all.
3 hours for a wrestling show is
just way too long. It's too long. But it's that money. It's all about the money.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a reason why WrestleMania is now 2 nights.
All about the money. Get more money.
Literally. Yeah.
And when they made WrestleMania 2 nights this year, and then they charged, it wasn't cheap to go to WrestleMania, even though it was limited people, and it was the first time they'd had a show in a year and a month, and there's we're still at the early days of the vaccine and COVID. It wasn't like I didn't watch that show and feel like, wow, they really felt motivated to put on an excellent show here. Everybody worked hard. But for me, it just didn't reach that WrestleMania level. The only thing that really did was Bad Bunny, and he's not even a guy on the roster. It's like, come on. It's crazy. We talked about that. We talked about that months ago. I'm not going to get into that. But
so to piggyback off Andrew Elder's comment about the ticket sales, the San Francisco show that Raw did, they had 3,146 people in attendance at a venue that seats 18,000.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
And going off what you were saying, Jerome, too, about the USA Network execs, yes, they are mad. When SmackDown had that Hell in a Cell match with Rey Mysterio and Roman Reigns, they really did make some noise about that. They had Bobby Lashley versus Xavier Woods in a Hell in a Cell match on Raw. I get, they are getting mad. They are making suggestions. That's why we're having Raw Legends Night and stuff like that. We're going to see a lot of gimmicks, just to pop a rating, make everybody happy at some point. But damn, at the end of the day, when push comes to shove, that network has nothing. They don't have anything else on that network worth watching. And Raw and WWE, even at its lowest, the lowest viewership it's had in a long time, part of that you could say is people cutting the cord, but another part is people just stop watching. At its lowest, it still keeps USA relevant and the number one cable, network show on cable. They're number one for Monday nights. It's they suck, but it's still they still get rewarded for it. Yeah, so I just can't see them saying we're going to do 750 million for it. And I can't see anybody. I can't see them getting into a bidding war with anybody else that would that would push USA to have to go that much.
Yeah, no, they're not going to pay whatever contract they get next for television. At least for Raw, there's no way they're going to touch what they're touching now. And like Joe mentioned, 3 hours, it's a lot. It's really a lot, and it's gotten to the point where it's blatantly obvious that they just don't that they just don't care about the fans. It's beyond obvious. You have storylines starting and stopping the next week. You have repetitive matches. You get the same match 4 times in about a month,
right?
Be it on Raw or SmackDown. And ticket sales are plummeting. They're down. They're in the sewer, and there's a reason for it. And I know Jerome and I were kind of talking about this a couple of days ago. And are ticket sales down because of COVID, because of vaccine, or is it simply because the product is not very good?
Well, I will say this. You know me, I have been a guy that I don't miss when they're in the area. I don't miss. I've been to probably every single show in the tri-state area, for the past 10 years. They went to Madison Square Garden, a month or two ago, and they're going to Barclays Center in November. I'm not going. I'm just not there yet mentally, with the pandemic. So I do think people are still staying home. I certainly don't look. Wrestling fans are dirty people. Not the people that watch our show, but there have been smells that I've smelled at events of just unshowered people sneezing without covering their faces, just nasty people. It's I think
basic COVID, hygiene.
Yeah, I think COVID started at a wrestling event. It's insane. I couldn't believe that I went to Elimination Chamber and that week they shut everything down. I was like, there's no way we left there and didn't get COVID. No way. Everybody was sneezing without covering their face. I was like, oh my God. Me and Victoria were convinced. We're like, oh my God, we're going to die. We're going to die. And this is terrible. I was like, we just had a baby. I can't believe we're going to leave her behind. It's I'm not there yet, So I do think that does impact, but not as much. Who's there? What's there to see? You're going to watch the same show from the week before. You can do that for free at home. You don't need to for that.
Because didn't they had a match at Crown Jewel? Didn't they have like a rematch on Raw the following Monday?
No, Jerome, they teased it and then they didn't give it.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. That's right.
That's
right.
another thing that they've been doing too is false advertising. And we can. You're gonna watch anyway.
Yeah. But
Card subject to change.
Another interesting ticket note is so Raw's going to be at that new UBS Arena in Elmont, New York on November 29th. And last time I looked at Ticketmaster, the mid, like the 200 foot level and the 300 foot level, there's plenty of seats still available. AEW is having a Dynamite and Rampage taping that Wednesday, on the 8th of December, and that show is almost sold out. The top level's got some seats left, but it's pretty close to a sellout. So it's very interesting to see. Same venue, week later, two different companies, which one's selling out more versus which one isn't.
Yeah. Daniel Schell makes a good point here too, because Nick Khan was on earlier today saying that they want to build up, I think they're gonna try to do a stadium show for like almost every single pay-per-view they're gonna do, like major pay-per-view they're gonna do from now on. It seems like, Royal Rumble, Money in the Bank, SummerSlam, WrestleMania are they're gonna be their big four now, where they're gonna do stadium shows for them. And he said, we're working on, making sure that these shows are huge, but we're also going to do the secondary shows are going to like build into those. But Daniel Schell makes a good point. For now, I mean, I'm curious to see what they do with their pay-per-view model, because he says that Nick Khan says that they did a deep dive into their pay-per-view model. That pay-per-view matches don't mean anything if you can just have rematches the next night. That circumvents even having to watch anything on the WWE Network. If you miss it, I'll just catch it on free TV tomorrow. Why do I have to subscribe to Peacock or what? There's no reason for this. I'd be curious to see what they do with that. But
you mentioned Money in the Bank as a major pay-per-view now. They're going to have it at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. Are they really going to fill that stadium with Money in the Bank?
Money in the Bank's a huge pay-per-view, man. It's like the gimmick. The gimmick has been played to death. It's literally been played to death. But it used to be they would either do Extreme Rules and then Money in the Bank in May. I mean, that would be, you look at the Google Trends. It's like a mini Royal Rumble. Like, basically whoever wins that match is guaranteed to be like a champion at some point, maybe even that night. And they want to know who it is. The Google Trends trend like it's an A-level pay-per-view. I mean, you can't argue with the results on it. It's like, to us, it's been done to death, but people that's what people tune in to see. But it kills the gimmick at the same time. It's like, it's the law of diminishing returns. You keep doing it over and over and over again. Eventually it's going to wear itself out. Yeah. And for God's sake, like they did a ladder match on Raw. They do those matches quite a bit. These extreme, weapons matches. It doesn't have to just be that. Hell in a Cell, cage matches, TLC matches, tables matches. Whatever kind of. There's a million gimmick matches. Whatever roster that they have left, have got to be racked. In a lot of pain.
Yeah, they had on SmackDown, they had the Tricker street fight match on SmackDown. Then on Raw, they had Damian Priest against T-Bar, which was a street fight as well. So you're getting the same type of match and no holds barred, just essentially a different name, 3 days apart.
Right. And it looks goofy, but like getting slammed on pumpkins is not a fun day at the office. It's like,
no, that hurts. It's never happened to me, but it looks like it hurts.
You pick up a pumpkin gourd, you're like, geez, this thing is pretty gnarly here.
No. And you guys spoke about stadium shows, Survivor Series. I loved Survivor Series growing up. I loved it. It was fun, the traditional matches, the tag teams. If you look at it now, it's Raw versus SmackDown. And I know, Mike, you've mentioned this in the past several years. It's Raw versus SmackDown, but there's nothing like, what does the winning team get? You get bragging rights? Yeah, so what? Half the talent's going to be on the other show in like a month's time anyways. So
exactly. And it's almost like
at stadium?
Right. Well, they're not, according to their schedule, they're not doing it at a stadium now. Like that is no longer a major focus for them. Basically what Survivor Series lets you do is like let's creative take a month off. It's like these built-in matches that hey, check it out. Like, even though these people were on the same roster a month ago and you saw the match, now it's special because they're in t-shirts. It's like, okay, whatever. But they haven't even started building for Survivor Series yet.
They haven't. There was barely a mention of it on Raw and barely a mention of it on SmackDown. It was the last one.
They might wait till like a week before, because who cares? They've done that before with pay-per-views where it's like, we kicked our feet, on building this thing up. Well, here's a whole bunch of matches the week of.
Yeah. Okay, like we're gonna get what? We're gonna get Roman Reigns versus Big E. All right, that's probably cool to watch, but aside from that, what's gonna be Team Raw versus Team SmackDown? Do they even have 10 women left on the roster to fill up that match? Do they?
I don't know. They're thin. That women's roster's thin, very thin.
Yeah, it makes no sense. And again, going back to the releases today, I mean, you have Survivor Series that's going to be thin. You have the Rumble, unless they plan on bringing back Steve Austin like 20 years later. That's what surprises do you have left? Booker T again?
You don't need to have surprises. You're just they know people are going to watch anyway. They know that people are going to watch, expecting to see surprises, and then they don't give them. It's like, oh well, I didn't get this year. I'll watch next year, and then it's like, oh no, it's like they don't care anymore. Like they can get away with that model for the time being, like you were saying, Roy.
They could, and I don't mean to stay on that, but if we're talking about the Rumble 2 months from now, who's actually worthy of winning the Rumble? Who could you actually think of and say, you know what, this guy's, this guy or this woman, whatever it is, I could see them main eventing WrestleMania in a couple of months' time.
Drew McIntyre.
Damian Priest.
Call me crazy. You can call me crazy, man, but I think that's it.
No one, unless you're going to repeat Drew McIntyre once more, you're not going to have a 60-year-old Edge win it again. Are you going to go for Seth Rollins for the third or fourth time? There's no one. Are you going to have The Rock surprise come back? The roster is so thin, and they could have easily done something with Keith Lee in the past year. If he was booked properly and you had him regularly on television, he could have been an actual guy to win the Rumble this year. And now he's gone, and you have, again, I sound like a broken record. It's thin. The roster is very, very thin. Yeah,
that's, and it's going to stay that way. I just think it is, and it's I'm waiting to see how people can defend it. I really want to know.
You can't. And there's what's kind of funny or odd is that the past couple of weeks, and maybe I'm wrong, you guys correct me, I feel like they're kind of trying to do something, be it on Raw or SmackDown. Like they had that ladder match on Raw, 2 weeks ago. They had that street fight a couple of days ago on Raw. So it's almost as if they're trying to do something to change the show, to change the product, and then they go out and release 20 guys, 20 people.
Right.
None of it adds up. Obviously, how many of them are going to end up in AEW or MLW or New Japan or whatever it is.
This is the only thing that adds up. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's because at the end of the day, that's the only thing that has ever been cared about. Yeah. And like this new world order for WWE, if you will, it's a little scary.
Yeah, and you had even Kevin Owens who cut a promo on Raw. He said, I don't know if I'm here for the next 3 months or the next 3 years, but you're gonna get the best of Kevin Owens, and it's like, are they really having him say something like that? So you're flat out mentioning, hey, we're getting rid of our talents. I don't know how long I'm gonna be here for.
And Andrew Elder mentions there's a lot of contracts coming up. Kyle O'Reilly. There are people that are near the end of their deals, and I don't see how WWE resigns them. They just don't want to spend money on talent. It's almost like, at this point, I think the only one who's untouchable is like Roman Reigns at this point. I don't think that I think they would turn around and release the Usos tomorrow if they decided that that's best for business.
Yeah.
I think they would say, Big E, you'll drop it at a house show. Thanks for your time. I think we're there. As a viewer, how can you support?
You can't. Imagine you're a viewer and you're watching SmackDown for the past month or the draft, and they're talking about hit row, and you have them on television for 2 weeks. Like, okay, I'm kind of interested to see what they're doing, and then one of the members just gets released for no reason. How are you supposed to get invested in that? Again,
Exactly.
I'd say there are two people probably untouchable. One of them, Roman Reigns, like you said. The other probably Charlotte Flair. Although that one's going to be like her contract. I don't know when it's coming up, but that one's going to be very interesting.
She's got a bad attitude, and I think whenever her contract is up, I think she's going to try to do like that thing where it's just like
Medusa.
I'm out of here anyway, so I'm just gonna screw it. I'm gonna be protecting myself as much as I can, and and just kind of be who she is on the way out. I guess that's who she is. Look at who her father is. That's what they do.
Yeah.
This guy makes a good point. Isaac Wright here. The Usos got 2 DUIs and was on TV the next show both times. This is true. I'm not saying that I actually think they'll release the Usos. I'm just saying if they actually thought it was best for business, they would do it. They would definitely do it. But I think they have an untouchable guy, the one untouchable guy vouching for them. So I don't think that will actually happen.
Yeah, and I think even Roman mentioned it. I think it was a promo or something. He said, "You're here. You're still here because of me," or something.
Right. Hey, this could be too. Just screw it. We're just gonna do Lesnar. It's like
look,
we don't need to build stars anymore. So we'll just use Lesnar. Whatever.
It would work.
It would, and for storyline purposes, it does make sense. That would actually make sense.
He's suspended. Have him come back at the Rumble, destroy everybody, and just win it.
Right. I could see Sasha Banks be released. It's like I could. There's a lot of people that just don't feel safe.
Bailey's out. It's been several months. She's another one.
Any woman is not safe except for Charlotte Flair. It seems like, and Becky Lynch probably. And if Becky Lynch is safe, that means Seth Rollins is safe. So we got a couple of untouchable people here. But wow. But getting back to it, we're talking about all this stuff. I mean, we started off talking about these 18 WWE releases that came out tonight. But at the end of the day, we got to talk about the financials because that's what leads to all these things. Like Roy added up while I was giving out the numbers. 51 people. Did that include the 18 tonight?
Did you count? No, I don't believe so. No.
Okay, so that's
51, 69?
69 people released in 2021. Just on in the mass releases. I think there's well over 70. If you count like the ones like Bray Wyatt, that was like a standalone and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And these are major talents, and AEW's bloated. Impact Wrestling is like a non-entity. Ring of Honor's dead. NWA barely exists. MLW barely exists. There's a lot of people floating around and not a lot of places to work again. It's kind of crazy.
Every single time, and you just mentioned in terms of not many promotions. Well, there aren't that many promotions, but every single time there's been a big batch of releases, there's at least 1 or 2 big names that are being released. Braun Strowman, Keith Lee, Bray Wyatt, all released at different times. And every single time you get someone big, and Bray Wyatt will ultimately probably end up in AEW. Fine. Braun Strowman as well. But as you mentioned, Mike, as you mentioned, Jerome, they're loaded on talent. Loaded. And unless you're going to start running 4 weekly shows, you can't fit everybody.
They'll burn themselves out.
Yeah. It's you have someone like Andrade who's not doing too much, and you have other stars as well that they brought in, and you're looking to yourself, well, okay, but
well, that's another thing too. I know I mentioned this in the chat last night.
Yeah,
there's a lot of guys that get released from this company, and everybody goes, good, let them go somewhere else and let them get used like they were like they weren't in WWE. Now they'll get used better and they'll have more creative freedom, but almost everybody winds up in the same exact spot that they were in WWE. There's very few that weren't main eventers in WWE that became main eventers somewhere else, so I think Keith Lee was misused. I think he's a main event guy through and through, somebody posted these 2 pictures of Keith Lee, like shaking hands with Roman Reigns or something like that, and squaring off against Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble. And it's like these 2 big money matches flushed right down the toilet tonight. It's incredible. he's a main eventer. I think he could. I think that cream will rise to the top. But like Karrion Kross, he was a main eventer in Impact, which if you're grading on a scale, he could have been the European champion, like back in the day or something like that. Like he's not that means nothing to main event in Impact. Look at John Morrison. He's losing to people on main event right now. It's like he was their champion forever. It's like, come on. But it's always funny. It's like, oh, these people are finally going to get to live to their potential, and it's like they always wind up in the same spot anyway. So they also have to, AEW and all the other companies also have to look at where these people were at the time of release, and do a real honest to goodness evaluation of their star power. How much time and effort do we put into these people? I mean, like look at Andrade. He is so hit or miss. Like when he first debuted, I was like, and when I first saw him live, okay, like one of the first times I ever saw the guy was live against Johnny Gargano in Philadelphia at the NXT Takeover. I think that was like the first 5-star match that Dave Meltzer gave WWE in almost 10 years or something like that. I was like, this guy's a star. He's they got a star package with him and Zelina. Like that was great. And then he goes to the main roster and just underperforms. He seemed to not care. And even now in AEW, it's like, I thought he could go over there and be a star, but you know what? He's right where he was in WWE, hit or miss, and I think that's all he'll ever be. So it's like, do we want to sign more guys like that for big money if they're not going to be what everybody thinks they're going to be?
Yeah, there's a ceiling on him. There's a ceiling to Andrade. Yeah. And even I was watching Dynamite last night. He came out and not much of a pop. He faced off against I think it was Cody Rhodes. Nothing. He came out, okay, yeah, there was a pop, but nothing that he didn't, kind of get in WWE. And him or Malachi Black, for example, right? Aleister Black, they're kind of doing a bit more with him, but even at that, there are only so many guys that you could bring in and just right away throw into the main event scene. Daniel Bryan being the main guy.
Right.
And they did that. Even Adam Cole kind of, he's taking kind of a backseat, which makes sense, obviously. But, are they seriously going to get Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt and just throw them in the main event? You can't.
Right. And then it's like, then people start asking the question, who has AEW built, that isn't a WWE guy. It's like Orange Cassidy, Jungle Boy, they're trying to build up, but Darby Allin, but these guys are going to have to take a backseat. Like you can't build for the future if you're signing the past.
No, absolutely. And they have these star guys, you have Sting and you have Arn Anderson, and that's cool. Terry Blanchard, they have those guys, sure, to help bring up, the young talent, but you have that young talent, and then you have Darby Allin lose to CM Punk, which makes sense. Don't get me wrong. I get it. I understand it. But if you have Darby Allin, a guy who's been there since literally day one, who you're pushing, you have him with Sting and the fans really like, and then you have him job essentially to CM Punk, and now he's up against, if I'm not mistaken, MJF in about a week's time. He's probably going to lose that match too. So you bring in Adam Cole, you bring in Daniel Bryan, you bring in whoever else, Andrade and Aleister Black. Yeah, those AEW guys are taking a backseat to them. You have Andrade come in and feud automatically with Cody Rhodes, or Aleister Black feud with Cody Rhodes. What does that tell you to the young, to the AEW guys that have been there since day one? Right.
It's pretty crazy, and there's so much talent floating around. That's why I said at the beginning of the show, there's gonna be some people that we're never gonna see again. A lot of those like underneath names, like Jesse Camilla, like names like that, we may never see them again. Like they may have worked their final show as a professional wrestler, but they all wind up doing something somehow. So we'll see. But I think that about covers it. We talked about 18 releases, WWE's financials,
the Royal Rumble.
I pissed somebody off by just existing. It's like we got it going on here. So, Jerome, final thoughts.
I'm going to say that we're going to see more releases between now and the weekend.
Wow. I could actually, I think like names that we haven't heard yet will eventually leak out.
Yep, I think we'll at least see, if not 5. I'm going to go say about a dozen more names.
Wow,
between now and Saturday.
that would be something. If 30 people get released, that would be something.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Is that a gut feeling, or are you hearing some things?
I haven't heard anything. It's just my gut feeling, just the way things have been going, because Nick Khan's pulling the strings. I mean, he's telling Vince, this guy goes, this girl goes, this guy goes, this one goes, and Vince, okay, and he cuts him. I think Nick Khan's in charge. He's pulling the strings, and I think that we're going to see more releases coming, and it's going to be, like you said, names we haven't heard of, and maybe some names that are familiar. If we do get more releases, I'm thinking more NXT and 205 Live talent.
Oh, I definitely, I think that's a slam dunk. I think that's a slam dunk.
I think that with Frankie Monet gone, Ty Valkyrie, I think John Morrison's probably going to be next.
I think that's a very, very high possibility, and which is incredible, because the Miz just got eliminated from Dancing with the Stars. So make sure Victoria's not around here, because that was devastating in our household here, and that Miz had turned heel on John Morrison, and now John Morrison hasn't been doing anything. Yeah,
he's been on Main Event losing.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think that John Morrison might be on his way out. We if he's smart, just don't answer your phone for the next couple of days.
Exactly.
Maybe he can do the Bash and Booger thing, where it's like like the Bash and Booger essentially became like what the guy in Office Space was, where they released him, but due to payroll glitch, he still is on the roster, and they keep just moving him to the basement. And it's like, Bash and Booger was showing up to shows for 6 months, hadn't been used. He was getting paid. And he goes up to Pat Patterson's like, hey, I've been coming to all the shows. Are you ever going to use me? And Pat goes, oh my God, this is banana. He goes over to Vince. He's like, like Bash and Booger's still here. Like, I thought we released him. And then they released him.
Yeah. And then my predictions for 2022, I think we see Kyle O'Reilly and Kevin Owens in AEW.
Wow. I mean, yeah, I know Kevin Owens is I thought I saw that his deal was coming up in the next couple months. So
January.
It's possible. Yep. That's extremely possible. Roy, final thoughts on this wild evening in professional wrestling.
Yeah, I echo Jerome's thoughts. I think we're going to get more, and I think we're going to get a big one. I'm basing this off absolutely nothing. 99%, I'm going to get this wrong. Finn Balor. For whatever reason, because he's in that mold where, hey, they're giving him a push, and it's like, well, we're just going to cut the cord and fire you.
But he's also 40. Yeah, so like they
and he's not a big guy, right? And Vince doesn't like him.
Yeah, that's that too. Yeah. He's always been bland as a character. He's not a WWE guy. That's for sure.
No.
My final thoughts. I don't know if we'll have a huge amount more like in the numbers that you guys are talking about for like this weekend, but I don't think that the carnage of 2021 and Nick Khan is over by a long shot. Some people get coal in their stocking for Christmas, and I think a pink slip might be coming for some. Like the year is, we still have basically 2 months left in this year, and there's a lot of tightening of the belt that can still be done. So we'll see. I think we'll have one more mass release this year, and I could see that really damaging the faith of the fans in the product. So we'll see, everybody. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. We did this show impromptu. I mean, hey, we never know when there's going to be a mass amount of WWE releases, and people showed up and we're talking. Even the guy pissed off, he still showed up, even though he said that he unfollowed us for a long time. So he was still here despite unfollowing us. But thank you for joining us, and thanks for tuning in. You're proving my point about Raw and how people will just watch anyway. I thank everybody for being here. I thank everybody for keeping this chat active and joining in the conversation. If you like WWE, this is a tough pill to swallow. I say it all the time. While my opinions may be harsh, they're my opinions because I know I love WWE. I grew up with WWE. I want them to be good. I want them to, be entertaining, not just making money. I want them to make money and be entertaining, and I don't think that they're mutually exclusive. I think they could be together. I think you can do both, make the fans happy and increase revenue. I think it's possible. And I keep waiting for them to do it. So we'll see what happened. And Goosey saying that Bailey posted a pretty cryptic tweet. I'm going to look it up.
I have it right here, Mike.
Please bring it up, my friend.
Yeah, while you're looking it up, I think Jeff Hardy might get cut too. I'm thinking about that.
Oh yeah, I think that's a.
Yeah. So here, sorry. So she wrote, it's never over. A cleaner never sees failure because to him it's never over. If something doesn't go as planned, he instinctively looks for options to make things work a different way. He doesn't feel embarrassed or ashamed. He doesn't blame anyone else, and he doesn't care what anyone else says about his situation. It's never the end. It's never over.
Well, don't forget, Kenny Omega is the cleaner.
Yeah. So I don't know what. Yeah. I mentioned Bailey a couple of minutes ago, so who knows?
Interesting. Isaac Wright speaking some truth here. I like to think that despite having this platform for almost 15 years, that I still like to think of myself as just another fan. I get to espouse my opinions on a large platform, and I'm grateful that WrestleView allows me to do this on a nearly weekly basis. But I think I feel the way a lot of wrestling fans feel. Now there's going to be a lot of people that are like, oh, that just forgive WWE for everything. I just can't be that guy, but I want to see them do better. So that's part of my frustration is you're watching a show and just the same mistakes being made over and over again. Yeah. And releasing 18 people after posting record profits it's just heartless. And it's how do you want to support a company that has no heart? It's like why would you want to give them money and reward them for being heartless? I don't know. Maybe that's too existential for wrestling fans, but that's me. But anyway, it was a great pleasure sitting here with you gentlemen tonight. I was not expecting to get on a video chat and chat with you guys, and I always my honor. And I think everybody benefited from hearing your opinions tonight. So thank you, Jerome. Thank you, Roy.
Thank you.
I'm Mike Tedesco. That's WrestleView, and we'll see you soon. Thanks, everybody. I'll check you out on Monday.